Lights up bright, dope, Campbell Stadium is alive. Seminoles rise and fight to survive. Helmet gleam under that blazing sun. Florida State where champions run. Seminoles sideline 365. Feel the roar, we're coming alive. Garnet and gold in the battle we thrive. This is our house where legends arrive. Turf torn up under Seminole feet. The war chant pounds to the heart's own beat. Chop through the noise like a storm in the sky. 2025, we reach for the high. Seminole sideline 365.
Okay, welcome to the show. This is the old man. KB is on assignment elsewhere. He may join us, he may not. I'm not sure. But we have breaking news out of Tallahassee, and I'll get more into the details here in a minute. But it would appear on the surface, and it's an official announcement from Seminoles official newsline, Seminoles.com, that Mike Norvell, head coach Mike Norvell, with a record of 5-6 so far this season, and will go into his 7th season as the head coach of Florida State. It's been announced by leadership of the Florida State Athletic Department that head coach Mike Norvell will remain the Seminoles football head coach for the 2026 season, or until they see otherwise. But he has been retained. His services have been retained. And I'm going to quote some actual statements from the official statement, because if you're not able or haven't seen it yet, it's important that you hear the official words, and I'll read right through that. I'm going to remain on the air here live. If you have any comments, you're welcome to hit our comment line. Please join us. I know it's an NFL football Sunday, so you may be elsewhere. You may be at a game. You may be watching at a bar. You may be watching at home. But I know everybody's been waiting for this news. And we thought that news would come at the end of the season. That's what AD Michael Alford had said earlier. We will assess. We will do an evaluation of the season. Well, the season's not over yet. The Noles travel down to Gainesville, to the Swamp, to take on the Gators, who were obliterated by Tennessee last night. So it's going to be a very interesting next few weeks, including Thanksgiving week, when we always have the big game against the Gators. But for now, let me repeat, and there's a lot of news breaking out there, but let me repeat. Head coach Mike Norvell will return for the 2026 season to guide the Noles forward in their quest for titles. And as Mike Norvell said, he'll be hosting another title trophy here at Florida State before his tenure ends. So we shall see. We shall see. So again, I welcome your comments today. But if you want to just sit back and listen, that's okay too. Now, I'm going to be quoting right from the official article that came out. The article came out today, November the 23rd, Sunday, November the 23rd at 12:54 p.m. And we're on the air now at 1:40 p.m., something of that nature. Obviously, this is big news for anybody that follows the Seminoles worldwide. And if you're joining us today, we're glad you're with us. Or if you see us on record later, we definitely appreciate you guys, and welcome to the Seminole Sideline 365 family. So here we go. I'm going to read this just a little bit, the best of my ability, and then we'll comment on anything that you guys may throw in here if you join us. Okay, Florida State University today announced that Mike Norvell is being retained as the head football coach, period. All stop. with support from FSU leadership Norvell has pledged to institute fundamental changes in specific areas to improve performance to meet FSU's championship standard. Quote, FSU Board of Trustees Chairman Peter Collins, Vice President and Director of Athletics Michael Alford, and I assume is Mike Norvell. I would be Mike Norvell. That's what I'm assuming. No, I'm sorry. Let me take that back. The I is Dr. Richard McCullough, the FSU president. And obviously, Norvell agreed to all of this. Michael Alford and I are in complete agreement that changes are needed for our program to improve, said Dr. Richard McCullough, FSU president. Quote, Coach Norvell embraces our support in that process and agrees that success must be achieved, period. He continues to demonstrate an unwavering belief in this program's future, and so do we. This decision reflects a unified commitment to competing in the rapidly evolving landscape of college football while maintaining continuity within the program. End quote. Here's another quote from the release. This release is from FSU official football channel, the Seminoles.com. Quote, this program has been built on belief, sacrifice, and putting the team first, Norvell said. Quote, that set of values has always guided my actions and those of our players. The driving motivation behind this is to make certain that we are doing everything properly to obtain and retain elite players, add critical pieces, and sustain long-term success, period. I love Florida State, and I am fully committed to this program and our shared goals, end quote. Another quote from this statement, quote, in addition to addressing the reality that on-field results have been far from acceptable to the FSU standard, we also realize our responsibilities as stewards of the program revenues and how to best allocate those dollars to compete at an elite level, something we will not compromise, said Collins. That's Peter Collins, Board of Trustees. Quote, throughout the assessment, one goal will remain beyond all others, achieving sustained championship level success. We will address performance deficiencies in the program. These deficiencies may include structural changes to the very large and complex program FSU football has become, and these areas are where we will focus and invest. Quote, our responsibility is to do what gives Florida State the strongest competitive position, not just today, but for years to come, said Alford. Quote, Florida State has invested hundreds of millions of dollars in its football program over the past few years with high expectations. Chairman Collins, FSU President McCullough, and I are aligned in partnering with Coach and improving our ability to compete for championships. Our mission is unwavering in putting Florida State football at the forefront of college athletics. That is the entirety of the official statement released by Florida State. So the next question would be, what do we see in here? Well, my initial, and I got a few viewers in here, and glad to see you guys in here. My initial reaction is that Mike Norvell is on what I would call a tight leash probationary period moving forward. But he obviously has agreed. he has agreed to the statement that was released saying that he is in full compliance with the expectations set forward. So after we digest all that, let me take an Excedrin here. Wow, I feel better now. Not really. Mike Norvell is on this tight leash that he could be, if he doesn't start winning significant games, okay, you can't just beat Wake Forest, you can't beat Stephen Austin at Houston, Texas A&M at Louisiana State. You can't beat cream puffs and survive. That's not going to work. They're saying that he is retained for now, but he is being retained to go into the 2026 season. However, if his losing streaks continue, he could be probably fired at any time moving forward. That's what I get out of the statement. And they're going to continue to evaluate his performance, the team's performance, and the spending of money very tightly over him now. He has lost a good bit of his power and control over the program. Yes, he is the head football coach, but he will not be making a lot of the final calls in who comes into the program and who leaves the program. I'm sure there's going to be a bigger general manager's office, just like in the NFL, who will be making a majority of those decisions about personnel, which is very interesting. And that's what I see coming out of the statement itself. Okay, let me work. That's the big news right now. And obviously, we'll be talking about this for the days to come. Obviously, you've got early signing period coming up for high school recruiting. This is obviously a move on the chessboard to try to retain as much of the class as possible. Also, you've got to start looking at portal. Also, there's one game left, the big game down in Gainesville. Does anything change for Mike Norvell if he goes down there and the Seminoles get blown out, which no one hopes to be? Okay, we want to blow them out, but it's not going to be an early task. Giving the loss to NC State, we just saw a terrible effort, 21-11, a game that most fans will not forget. How will you ever forget when the defense came out, played a really pretty good game, and we force a punt. The punt comes down, hits one of our players, KJ Kirkland, in the helmet. No fault to him. Ball bounces back. The punter gets it, and they get a first down. We stop them again, 3 and out. We stop them again. They punt the ball away, and then on the punt return is muffed. We lose possession again, and they take the ball again and eventually get a touchdown, which seals the game. And how could it get any worse for Mike Norvell and the team? They try to fly out of the Raleigh airport to get back to Tallahassee. Tallahassee is fogged in. They have to fly into Jacksonville, get 5 or 6 buses and take a 2.5-hour drive from Jacksonville to Tallahassee, getting home like at 8 o'clock, 8:30 Sunday morning. Unbelievable. This program has been on nightmare watch for the last several years, except for the 13-0 season, which we were snubbed from the playoffs. That's kind of where we are at this point. So we've got a few fans. Let me take a look at some what people are coming in with, what their thoughts are at this point. We've got Mickey Manson here. Mickey says, they made a decision. I'm a Nole fan since 1974, so go Noles. Well, Mickey, I got you by a few years. I listened to the radio of Seminoles football when Coach Bill Peterson was the head coach back in the mid-'60s. I then attended Florida State from 70 to 74. So you and I are crossing over just a little bit. So welcome to the program. He's a true fan no matter what. Well, so are we. KB and I are the same way in that regard. This is BS. Obviously, the GOAT, FSU dominance, the GOAT doesn't like the the current decision by management to move forward with Mike Norvell, even on a short leash. I will say this. He is on a very short leash. He's given up a lot of control now. He's going to have a lot of people looking at him moving forward, including a very large fan base worldwide. We got Lauren Hester, 1621. He's not winning anything. He is terrible. Again, a fan that is not in Mike Norvell's camp. I'm one of those people. I've called for Mike Norvell's removal for a long time now. In fact, I have to eat a little crow. I've been saying that he would not be the head coach in 2026. He is not the full face of this football program. Mike Norvell cannot guide this football program to where it needs to be and to the expectations that are demanded and that came out in the official statement. He's not the guy. He is just not the guy. But we are going to see more effort from Mike Norvell. I never question him as a person. I don't question him as a man. I don't question him as a player's coach. I think that players like Mike Norvell, but for some reason, he cannot get what he needs to win games out of this team. Now, is it poor evaluation of talent? Is it talent acquisition? We're going to talk about that in days to come and weeks to come. But right now, no one's questioning him as a good man. They're questioning his coaching ability. Mark Dorfman. Mark, good to see you. One of our loyal viewers as always. And everybody else there, please hit that subscribe button, hit that bell so you don't miss us when we come on. Mark says, bet it comes out that Norvell is kicking back part of his pay to NIL. Could be. The problem, Mark, is we never get really any releases or transparency on money. You don't get any transparency on money from the battle's end. You're not getting it from the university. You're not seeing any contracts signed by players. Most of those are probably all non-disclosures. So a lot of it's speculation. Most of the FSU media has no inside sources to get leaks from that are credible. So, yeah, you could be right. Maybe he kicked back some of that money. That was the deal that was made. But I will tell you this, Mike Norvell is giving up a lot of power now as the head football coach of this program. And he's had to accept microscopic scrutiny moving forward on everything that he does. Okay, Gavin Broadhead. Gavin says the game on Saturday will be weird, could be low scoring, could be high scoring. Both teams are inconsistent. What's going to be bad is if the Seminoles play like they have against Stanford or like they have against NC State, and they show up and they don't do well, there's going to be a lot of mocking of Seminole fans. There's going to be a lot of mocking of Mike Norvell, and it is really going to be something. So you better come with a strong stomach, or if you're going to watch on TV, you better have a strong stomach. My hope is the Seminoles will rally because they have this game. If they win this game, they get to go to a bowl game. I always say it's the Pop-Tarts Bowl. That's obviously a funny, something I'm trying to be funny with, but they'll have to show up. And this, for the Gators, they have nothing to lose. They got trounced by Tennessee, but do not count them out because they've been trounced a few times. They have talent on the football team. They're going to rally because it's a state rival game. They're our biggest rivals, more so than Miami. They can knock the Seminoles out. They can knock the Seminoles out of bowl contention, and they can totally embarrass the fan base and Mike Norvell and FSU leadership for accepting Mike back. Mike can regain some trust and some applause by beating the Florida Gators this coming Saturday. Has the game time been announced? If someone out there knows if the game time has been announced, let me know, would you? Let's see. We got Dante. Bobby Bowden is rolling in his grave from the results of this. In my opinion, I hope the Battle's End doesn't receive a dime in NIL. The boosters should be ashamed of themselves for allowing this. And by the way, since you say boosters, we got our program booster kit for the holidays. I haven't opened it up. I'm going to open it up later on the show, so stay tuned. I'm going to open this up. If you've never seen what's in here, if some of you have already gotten it, don't tell me what it is. I want to be surprised. I'm going to open this up a little bit later. Yeah, Bobby Bowden would not be happy. I'm not even sure Jimbo Fisher would be happy. I think the two greatest coaches in Florida State football history right now are Bobby Bowden and Jimbo Fisher, followed by Coach Bill Peterson, who most of you don't know, who don't remember, but I do. So you can look up their records. But Bill Peterson put Florida State on the map, okay? And a lot of people don't realize that. Let's see. We got another fan, Tim Abel, who's checking out. I'm done with FSU. Okay, Tim, we hope you're not done with them now. The fans like yourself are going to be, the people who send in booster money, the people who donate to NIL. You will have a chance to vote on that. Buy your checkbook. If you feel they don't deserve the money and you're not getting enough transparency, that's something you can do. Obviously, we want you to stay with the program, Tim, and continue to vent here on the channel. But when it comes down to doing the chop, we want you on board as much as we can get you on. And I'm not here to sell you anything, okay? We got Tim one more time. This program lied to us as fans. I'm not sure they lied to us, Tim, as much as it is a matter of not executing. Now, I still am an athlete at 73 years old, okay? I still play competitive softball, and I've always competed in something. Competition, I don't think any player ever goes out to look stupid, look silly, make errors, but there are execution problems at any age, from little league to senior league. Players sometimes do not execute in the moment. If you don't execute in the moment at the highest levels of competition, you can and will lose games. Now, KB and I have been saying for a long time that we've been competitive in every game this season. This team has not been blown out by anybody. They cannot execute in key moments to win games, is what I've always been saying at this point. Okay, we got a lot of people jumping in here. Mike Jones, Norvell should have been fired long ago. The administration needs to be overhauled. The administration needs to be overhauled as well as President down. That has been talked about. If you're going to remove Norvell, then you should shave off the next layer with A.D. Alford, right? He's a big player in this. The changes they've announced that'll be coming will be very interesting. Will they be primarily off the field front office, like the general manager side of it, the recruiting side of it? Will it be there? Will it be on the field? Could Gus Malzahn be cut loose? Could Tony White be cut loose? That's the part that's all going to be evaluated on what happens here in the future. Let's see. Mike Dorfman, spend big money and get big time quarterback. That's a good question. They're going to have to rebuild this starting lineup. They're going to have to rebuild from the quarterback down. Whether or not Tommy Castellanos gets another year of eligibility, I think is immaterial. Tommy is put everything he has on the line. He has reached his ceiling. Tommy should not be the quarterback next year. If that happens, that is probably going to be a mistake. So they're going to have to probably get out into the portal, look for a quarterback that fits the system they want to run. The question is Kevin Sperry. Kevin Sperry is obviously being redshirted. Don't expect to see him at at the Florida Gator in playing football against the Gators. That would be a huge mistake. He has one game left to keep his red shirt. They could play him and he could keep the red shirt. But why throw him into that circus? That would be not a thing you want to do with develop a young quarterback. Is Kevin Sperry ready to take the lead and be the leader of this football team come this spring? We shall find out. Let's see. Tommy's got the heart, but he can't throw. It's good to see a Dagby in here. She says eyes. I'm not quite sure what she means by that, but maybe she's just responding to you guys, in the chat here. Welcome, Dagby. Good to see you again. This news is going to rattle a lot of cages. She says, let's see, I speak into the existence of Mike. Obviously, she's not a big fan of Mike Norvell and what's going on at this point. Well, how could anybody be? But like I say, if Mike Norvell and the Noles go down to Gainesville and they win this game next Saturday, that's going to take a lot of the hurt. It's going to take some of the hurt. It's going to take some of the hurt out of the program. But if they go down there and don't play well, and the Gators get a chance, they'll run the score up as high as they can. It's really not going to be a great day for anybody associated with the Florida State program, including every fan that we're talking to now. Here's positive, who I call positive Mike Merrick. I am a fan of Norvell. Well, Mike, I'm not sure how many fans are on your side on that one. You're going to get a lot of credibility, Mike, if Norvell is able to go down there and rough up the Gators, and we get to carry the Gator head off the field. That would be wonderful. I saw a comment back here I want to get to. Somebody was talking about my guy. Where is he? Talking about, here we go. Here's my guy, Ron Callahan. Bill Peterson did put us on the map with Tenzi and Biletnikoff, plus a magnificent 7 defense. Beat the Gators finally, too. Great coach. Ron, I'm on board with everything you said there. Now, a lot of our fans and viewers are much younger. I don't know how old you are, Ron. Maybe you're a historian of Florida State football, but I agree with everything. I used to listen to those on a small transistor radio. I'm sure you've heard me say that before. Bill Peterson would later go on to Rice, and then he would later go on to coach, I think it was Houston Texans at the time in the NFL for a couple of years. But he is a coach that really did a lot for Florida State. Let's not forget him. Okay, Spartan O came back. 4:30 Saturday is the kickoff. 4:30 in Gainesville. The ticket prices I saw were still hovering around $150 on TickPick. TickPick is a site I like. They're not our sponsor, but hey, if you want to sponsor us, TickPick, give us a call. We appreciate that. But 4:30 Saturday, I'm not sure what network that's going to be on. But again, a lot of people, Thanksgiving, weekend, a lot of people are going to be watching that football game. The Gators still looking for their coach. They're hoping to get Lane Kiffin. That announcement is expected anytime. But the latest we hear on that is Lane Kiffin is strongly considering a deal out of LSU for huge sums of money. Huge sum of money, not for only him, but for the pot for NIL, coaches, and everything else. So it's going to be a very, very interesting game. In fact, I saw the new head football coach at Virginia Tech, Franklin. He made an appearance on the field at the game yesterday. He wasn't coaching. He's not coaching the game. Virginia Tech lost to Miami, but he did show up on the sidelines, and their interim coach continued. Let's see who else is out here for a comment tonight, this afternoon. Okay, Mike Merrick staying with his guy, staying with Norvell. He's staying with Tommy Castellanos. He likes that. He thinks, obviously, Mike, what do you think our problem then is in winning games? Is it lack of key execution? What do you think is the problem? I don't think the problem is the locker room. I think I think the players like Mike Norvell and the coaching staff. I think they just are not executing in the critical times. And in competitive football, if you drop a pass, if you get a key penalty, if you block a punt, and then don't get the ball, there's so many little things that can change a football game one way or the other. Comment here from Mike Jones. Cromar told us what his family, friends, or groups told him about signing to Mike. I'm going to assume that the kids like Mike, the families like Mike, but what they don't like is the non-winning. Nobody likes that, including the players. Cromar now has had an interesting year. I thought his carries would go up, but actually they started to decrease again. We've been using running backs by committee, basically, which is kind of interesting. And I'm not a big fan of that. I think you rotate 3 backs and you run them until they can't run anymore. Here's a comment from the GOAT again. Mike is coming back. What's our record going to be next year? Who knows? There's going to be so many changes to take place. And the schedule next year is much more challenging than it is this season, in my opinion. Early look at the schedule. Let's get raw. Let's see. Let's see who else is in here. Mike Jones, I hate the gaslighting. Mike Norvell should have been fired last season, 2-10, and we're saying a win over the 3-win Gators is going to change everything. Now, I'm not saying that. Now, maybe the guys in the comments, because I'm looking at both sides here. Because it is a big state rivalry game, And how many of you out there remember the state rivalry game, Florida State playing the Gators, when Lane Fenner, a wide receiver, Lane Fenner, Fenner, look that up. Lane Fenner caught a ball in the back of the end zone. There was no replay cameras. There was none of that stuff that we have today. And he was called out of bounds. And it was at the very end of the game. And if that catch is called inbounds, Florida State wins that game. Look up that game. I'll never forget that, watching that. The next day in the paper, there were photographers who took the picture of Lane Fenner catching the ball and his feet and toes clearly in the end zone before he hit the white line, and Florida State should have won that football game. That is how it just, we've talked about that for years, and that was back, I believe, prior to 1970. Check me on the date on that. That could have been early 70, but check me. Lane Fenner catch, FSU Lane Fenner catch. Let's see. Jay says, I'd rather have Jimbo. Jimbo, if you look at Jimbo's record, you can't dispute his record. I know everybody says, well, Texas A&M, he had everything. He couldn't win the conference title. He didn't get into the playoffs, whatever. Jimbo's overall record, especially at FSU, and overall coaching record is pretty, between Florida State and Texas A&M, is pretty impressive. It's pretty impressive. You can't beat Jimbo up on that. If you want to say he didn't win the big one, well, how many coaches that have coached college ball have won national championships? Not that many. When you really, it's a small elite group. That's the hit on Lane Kiffin right now. Is what championships has Lane Kiffin won? He hasn't won a championship at any level in college. So but right now he's the hottest coach out there. So keep that in mind. Okay, let's see. Antonio Jenkins, welcome to the program. This is beyond unacceptable. The standards of this program has fallen. This tells me the administration is comfortable with being a laughingstock. I have been a Nole since 1990. I don't think Antonio, that the overall program believes it's a joke and they're willing to accept that. That's not the statement that I just read earlier in the program. If you didn't hear that, you can go back and listen to the first 10 minutes and you'll hear the statement, or you can go online, Seminoles.com, see the official statement. I don't believe that. I've never believed that since the mid 60s when I started following the Seminoles. We do want to win championships. The question is, when I was here in 1973 and we were 0-11, I sat through an 0-11 season. They thought of dropping football because they were losing so much money. And today, money is a key issue. We don't know how much of a factor the money issue came into the decisions that we're seeing now about retaining Mike Norvell. We're not going to probably know the complete answer to that unless there's a sit-down interview with Peter Collins or Michael Alford from one of the leading FSU media centers here that follows FSU all the time. Now, if they want me to come in and interview Mike Alford or Peter Collins or anyone else, I'll be glad to. Just send me a DM, and I'll be glad to coordinate, come up there and ask you in a very professional way questions that the fans have interest in. And if you guys have questions, put them on the comments here. Put your questions in there. If you could ask Peter Collins, Michael Alford, or President McCullough questions, what question would you ask them? And, what would you ask them? Because the pressers we see from Mike Norvell, from Gus, from Tony, from the players are all pretty plastic. They're word salad for Mike Norvell. I always said, if Mike Norvell talks to families and kids like he does during the press interviews, I would not feel comfortable at all. I don't think Mike Norvell is a good speaker. He's certainly not very transparent in what he's discussing. So in that regard, I don't think I think that could hurt his recruiting, his communication style. He seems hesitant and it seems to lack sincerity at times. So I think that could be an issue. So that'll be very interesting. Thank you for the comments. Everybody who's in here sharing their comments. Definitely appreciate it. Let's see. Eric Morse, Clown Show and Tally, Empty Dope 26, no one donate. Well, everybody's going to have a chance. And just in a few minutes, I'm going to open up my booster, I assume, holiday gift. I don't know. And probably if somebody's got one of these, don't tell me what's in there. I'm going to open it up here. I just got it in the mail. We'll see what's in there. But yeah, you're going to have a chance to vote with your wallet on whether you support what's going on or you don't support what's going on. Thanks for the comment. Let's see. I'm trying to get some new faces up here. Till Dog 12. I'm a Noles fan since 1978. And I believe in the excellence of the program that was established by Coach Bowden. Okay, he's got Dion's picture up here. Dion, they lost again at home. Dion's got a big issue. And I'm kind of wondering, listen, I'm also a graduate of the University of Colorado. I got my master's degree at the University of Colorado at Boulder. And I love Dion. I think Dion's a good guy. We're going to see how he transforms and rebuilds that program because they've got a lot of issues. Established by Coach Bowden, 7 years of this is too much. We gave Willie 1.5 years. That's true. Can't criticize that fact. Till Dog, welcome to the program. And Till Dog, if you're new, please hit that subscribe button, hit that bell so you know when KB and I are on. You got to have KB on here because he and I don't always see eye to eye. So, but he's out on an event. Actually, he's out on a dog adoption event. He does that. He fosters homeless animals and he does take them to dog adoption. He has 2 rescues himself, so he's out really saving lives today, and we all appreciate that, I'm sure. He wish he could be here. You'll see him early this week, I'm sure. Let's see. Mike Dorfman read somewhere 90% of fans donate nothing to their school. Doesn't stop them from squawking, though. There's some truth to that, Mark, that a majority of people don't donate much to anything. However, I will say this. A lot of fans, are, if you want to believe the national media, can't afford eggs and coffee and this. But, I'm sure everybody can give what they can, but there's a lot of people who won't give anything who have the means to do it. So there's a little bit of truth to everything here. It's tough to take a family of 4 to a football game anymore unless you go to one of the cream puff games. But, it's tough. It's a lot of money for a weekend for a lot of people. Let's see. Okay. Jordan Travis. If Jordan Travis was a quarterback this year, FSU might be undefeated or 11-1. That is how bad TC is throwing the ball. Florida State and Florida State fans haven't gotten over a couple of things. It's part of our history. The snub after 13-0 of not going to the playoffs and the ESPN scandal, and Jordan Travis. The Jordan Travis era is an era of great highlights, of enthusiasm, motivation, and pure pleasure of how to win. Jordan Travis was a very good quarterback here. I don't see Jordan Travis as one of the very elite quarterbacks here at Florida State. However, that's up to debate as well. But Jordan Travis, I think, is hooked tightly with Mike Norvell and was at some point hoping he would get a job with Mike Norvell, with the football team. I'm not sure that's going to happen, and I'm not sure it's really justified in happening at this point of where this program is. Let's see. Dagby, Lane Kiffin shouldn't even waste his time and energy at any Florida program, even my Noles, if they are available. Lane Kiffin is not coming to Florida State. That's for sure. The odds are he'll end up at LSU or Florida. I don't think he'll stay at Mississippi. Here's Josh Rowe. You're new to the program. I am donating no more money. I am done, buddy. Okay. Those are the decisions that not only the Florida State administration, you didn't see anything about an extension of Mike Norvell. That's kind of a funny joke, but they're done paying Mike Norvell. The question is, when will Mike Norvell have to depart this program? Okay. That's really the big key. The big question, will Mike Norvell make it to 2026? And they said that he will start the season. And I think Alabama is the first within the first couple of games. Did we drop that game, or did we drop the Notre Dame game, which helps Mike Norvell? You guys look that up for me. But we have to go to Tuscaloosa, I believe, and play Alabama. Mike Norvell may not make it through the first 6 games of the season. He might not. Okay. They didn't promise him how long they didn't promise him the full 2026 season. They said, you will start the 2026 season. That's kind of where that statement went. But he's on a very short leash. I've said this, and he's lost a lot of power over the program. I think he's going to be managed by a committee now, and they're going to scrutinize everything that goes on. Let's see. We got Mike Jones back again. Our administrator thinks we are Princeton or something. I don't want to hear the Norvell con, Alford con, Collins con. Mike seems to be done with those guys. And there's a lot of people that are done with them, Mike. Now the question is, look at that circus in North Carolina. They lost again. Bill Belichick loses another one. Supposedly, he was going to adult cheerleading competition because his girlfriend is involved in that. I mean, in my mind, Bill Belichick's going, what the hell have I got myself into, and how the hell do I get out of this? You know, if those pictures were true, I don't know. There's so much fake stuff now on the internet. You really got to dig down deep and look at the credible sources that you're getting. Very important. Let's see here. William Green. William, I think you've been with us before. Welcome back to the program. William sees us as 4-8 in 2026. William, if that's true, Mike Norvell will not finish the season. He may not get halfway through. FSU is no longer a top program or job. I'm not sure about that, William. I'm not sure I agree with you totally on that. Horrible coaching staff, horrible culture. I'm not sure that's true. I think the right guy who is a good coach can be found and can bring any functional coach of average talent to average plus talent should be able to come in here and win 6 games each and every season. It's unacceptable not to win a minimum of 6 games at this program level. And that's just the minimums that we're talking about. I'm not saying that's the goals. That's not what Florida State's saying. They want to compete for championships. But I understand the frustration. Okay, here's one I haven't seen before. Film facts uncovered. Norvell should do. And by the way, anybody out there, look up the Alabama for next year. When do we play Alabama? What game is that on our schedule? Norvell should do the honorable thing and resign and let FSU off the hook at least half of what he's owed. You know what? I've seen a couple other people say that, and I supported that. I saw somebody on Twitter X say that, and I did support that if Mike really wanted to protect his legacy, he would probably resign from the program for the good of the program. He would donate back a good portion, a significant, noteworthy portion of the money that he's left on that buyout contract, which is about $50-some million, and say, listen, I tried my best. You know, salute the players, salute the support he's gotten, and then walk away. That's kind of the right thing to do. But most CEOs making big money at companies, they get fired. They don't give anything back. Coaches should be, I think, a little bit different because of the money structure. So interesting comment, and I kind of support what you're saying there. Looking at other comments over here of people I haven't gotten into the program yet. I'll go back to Mike Jones here. I hope ESPN plays flashbacks of our administration declarations of 6-6 in the Seminoles standards, blah, blah, blah. I'll tell you a very interesting cut that I saw. Okay, here's Mark. Mark looked up the game. September the 19th, which, Mark, what is that? Is that like game 3? Game 2, game 3? Something of that nature. Did you guys see that they're trying to schedule a game, a college football game? I think Virginia's in it, down in Brazil. Did you see that? That's very, very interesting. Somewhat confusing to me, but it's all about the money and the scheduling now. In fact, I saw a very good piece written by an ex-university president at 3 universities, talking about college football and how the money flow and the TV contracts and how that should be structured, that we're all speaking from different voices as different universities instead of as one united voice to negotiate the best deal like the NFL does. Very interesting comments that I saw. We dropped ND. I don't know who dropped who there, Mark, but that was a big relief, I'm sure, to the FSU program. And I think that has something to do with scheduling conference games because, because Notre Dame's not really in the ACC for football. Let's see. And let's see. Most of the schedule seems to be determined. Yeah, it's all determined by football in this regard. Okay, one more. I'll take one more here. Collins' resignation, Alford's resignation, Norvell's resignation. Program isn't elite with this administrative place, plain and simple. We refuse to hire top tier. We have leaked. We are a budget program. Well, let me say this, and then I'm going to start to wrap this up. I appreciate everybody in here. Let me say this. KB and I talk about this all the time. KB says, if we were to fire Mike Norvell today, who is it that we would replace him with? Who is it that's out there that is a proven leader and a proven winner over several years, let's say, to be brought into this program? We don't want to bring in the guy, who is it, Galesh from USF? He's got another resume like Mike Norvell. He's not proven yet at the level we need for elite program. Would you bring in a Manny Diaz who's at Duke? Do you think Manny Diaz would be the guy? Would you bring in, you've already lost Franklin. I think Franklin at Virginia Tech, he was waiting for Florida State to make a decision. And finally, I think his agent said, we're going to move on another offer if you're not willing to start negotiations. And Florida State rejected that, and they moved on to Virginia Tech. So Franklin moved on to Virginia Tech. I think he's going to be a substantial upgrade for that program. And I think he's going to start through the portal, and he is going to make some changes there. So that'll be very interesting to see, because that will be the guy that Florida State could have brought in here with a program that has much better resources than probably Virginia Tech. No disrespect in that regard. But who would Florida State have brought in? I would have said, well, I would have found somebody. I would have found somebody who is proven. And Jimbo Fisher is one of those answers. You could bring Jimbo back and get into a remarriage on that case. The other thing is, it's going to be a lot of angst and anxiety moving forward, because you're going to see a lot of changes to this program coming up. But I do believe that Florida State does have an elite mentality. They've had it since the 60s and before. They've been building ever since. We have 3 national championships. We have several ACC championships, mostly through Jimbo and Bobby Bowden. Mike Norvell has the one, but that's not good enough at this point. He's been too inconsistent. He's been losing too many games, and some of those games we've lost are totally embarrassing in this regard. Okay, last comment from Mike Jones. We refuse to hire those types of coaches. We settle for Taggart, settle for Norvell, missing out on Franklin, Bob Stoops, Romeo, being cheap and disrespected Taggart. We don't hire top. Very interesting comment, Mike. Very interesting. Okay, I'm going to close this out so you guys can get back to your NFL games, your Sunday afternoon. I appreciate the amount of enthusiasm and people jumping in the room here. KB and I will be back on the air probably Tuesday or Wednesday. If you hit the bell, you'll see our notifications come out. We notify you guys out on X as well if you're out there. So in that regard, the news again from the Seminoles.com, from the official word of Florida State sports, Mike Norvell is being retained into the 2026 football season. That is the news of the day. So I want to wish everybody out there a happy Sunday. Go watch some football. Get out and vent in the yard with some yard work, or go take a walk. But we appreciate you guys so much, and we have a good time doing this. So again, thanks a lot to everybody who showed up here, and we will see you soon again on Seminole Sidelines 365. Mike Norvell is your head football coach starting the 2026 season. Go Noles. Let's beat those Gators. Our Gator preview game show will be coming up either Tuesday or Wednesday. We'll see you then. Bye-bye.
Seminole Sideline 365. Every yard we take